And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather at a new time with a little bit of new branding for the Smash News Network least busted name in news. Welcome. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. It's only the most comprehensive daily space weather content in the known universe. The Daily Space Weather Show, now coming at you in the evenings as opposed to in the mornings. This is a 24-hour video from SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. We've seen declining solar activity. However, some features showing up there on the eastern limb near our Earth scale. Some filaments, coronal holes, and a new sunspot. We also had some spectacular coronal mass ejections coming out of both polar regions. We'll let you know later in the video whether or not those are earthly directed events. You can see one there off in the northwestern area in the upper right. Also some activity in the upper left, the northeastern region. Also some huge plasma filaments over there by the Earth scale. So let's take a look at that a little bit closer. There's the Mark Zuckerberg filament passing under the Earth scale there right at the beginning. A massive plasma filament. And then to the east of the Earth scale, you'll see a new sunspot either rise or form. We'll check that out in a moment as well. Also coronal holes there north of the Earth scale. We'll also show the southern hemisphere to give you a holistic view of the antics of the closest star. Don't worry, the slowdown's not going to last for very long. Huge filament over there by the Earth scale. There you go. There's a great view of that. Another active region there rising just northeast of the Earth scale. Is it a sunspot? Let us know in the comments what you think. And don't forget to press the like button. Yeah, that like button. And thanks to all of our new subscribers over on YouTube. Cheers. We congratulate you on realizing the most comprehensive daily space weather show in the known universe exists. So take a moment to press the like button, press share, leave us a comment. Even if it's a derogatory one, we find those just as amusing as the complimentary ones. So yeah, thanks to all of our YouTube viewers, new subscribers, the Smash team, etc. And again, that rebrand, we just needed to change some stuff around. So later format, you'll see this new avatar, the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Don't worry, it's still me. And let's talk a little bit more about the channel. Now, you may have seen our live stream yesterday, a live interactive conversation with the monotone from Minsk, Eugene Bagashov. Now, I got a bone to pick with you people. He only gained 3 subscribers. He had 483. Now he has 486. What's up with that? Only 3 people subscribed to his channel. Head over to Eugene the Philosopher and subscribe to this guy's channel. It has got some brilliant material on it. I mean, do planets cause big solar flares and lots more? The theory of everything, all kinds of stuff over there at Eugene the Philosopher. Go sub to his channel. He's only the largest contributor to our channel. Also, if you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a member of the Smash team at smashomash.com/Smash team, launched in October of 2021, and the homepage now features our latest video. So yeah, there you go, smashomash.com/Smash team if you want to get the behind the paywall material. Become a gold member or a silver member. The best value is the gold annual paid up subscription. And let's talk about our affiliates. First one is the Hemp Lucid. And you can find the Hemp Lucid shop just below this video in the description. Check out the link down there for your CBD purchases. Also your mushroom gummies. Don't forget the Stress, Immune, and Sleep Stacks. Save $15 off of those. And save $70 on the full stack. So massive savings available there from our Hemp Lucid shop if you're in the market for, again, body balms, lip balms, Stress, Immune, and Sleep Stacks, CBDs, and the gummy products. All there in the shop. Help support the channel that way. Help support the channel via the Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Another paid endorsement here on the channel. Today's featured product is the B Complex. Save 23% there. Don't miss out on your B Complex. That includes vitamin C and folate as well. Folic acid there in the B Complex that we're selling. Amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Today's featured product from the Redbubble shop. Another paid endorsement because we endeavor to make this channel into a sustainable operation. So your finest days lie ahead, folks. I know it might seem like hard times right now, but don't pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful. And again, our finest days lie ahead. So if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't pole vault the caldera. You could become part of the lithosphere, and we need the views on YouTube. Just kidding. Impress your friends and foes with this public service message brought to you at massive personal risk and expense by Smash Staff and I. It features smashamash.com as well as the YouTube URL. Help advertise the channel and remind your friends if they're going on a volcanic vacation to leave that vault pole at home. Links below the video to the Redbubble Shop, Amazon Shop, Hemp Lucid Shop, the Smash Team, and more. So hit us up on social media, press the share button, press the like button. Have you pressed like yet? Oh my God, you still haven't pressed like? Well, I'll just have to sit and wait. Just kidding. Press like. It's not really that much to ask. If you're unable and or unwilling to open your cobweb encrusted wallet, at least press the like button, press share, leave a comment, and tell your friends and foes about the channel. Sunspot activity has been very low in the past week or so. Sunspot number here dropping down into the 30s. So one new group did rise and or form up here in the northeast. So it looks like a second one might be showing up down here. If so, it's small and weak. Let's see what's going on with volcanic activity on planet Earth here before we continue on with what's going on in space. Klyuchevskoye is exploding on the Kamchatka Peninsula, producing an 18,000-foot ash plume. Sakurajima on Kyushu, Japan, 15,000-foot ash plume. 6,000-foot ash plume from Subanose-jima. Mount Mayan, 9,000-foot ash plume. And Bulusan on Luzon Island. So another volcano erupting there on Bulusan, now producing sulfur dioxide emissions. 241 tons on the 19th of October. Also a slight increase in carbon dioxide emissions there. Bulusan looking like it could be producing, it could be about time for it to produce a proper eruption as the southern flank continues to be inflated. Mount Ibu producing a 10,000-foot ash plume as it explodes on Halmahera, Indonesia, flight level 100. Flight level 070 over Luatolo on the Lesser Sunda Islands. Bromo, it's Bromo. And yeah, that's another one new on the list there. East Java, Indonesia there. So what's going on there? Continuous thermal anomalies within the crater since May at Bromo. Also, increased sulfur dioxide emissions could produce a threat to human health. Dakono also erupting, flight level 080. Popocatépetl exploding. Mildly sporadic emissions of volcanic ash over central Mexico. Fuego in Guatemala exploding, flight level 160. It's a 16,000-foot ash plume. 19,500-foot ash plume over Nevado del Ruiz as it explodes. It's a flight level 195. Volcanic ash coming from Sangay and Sabancaya as well. Don't pole vault the caldera. And let's see what's going on as far as earthquakes. So there are the past 90 days. And we're getting into a little bit of a 7-magnitude earthquake drought here. These are the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude over the past 24 hours. And it's been very calm. Very low number of quakes and no big quakes. Is there even a single quake of a 5 or greater? No. No, there's not. So a huge lull there in earthquake activity. And let's go back to space since we've got massive plasma filaments on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Here's another SDO of 24-hour video. That is 304 plus 193 angstroms. So you will see one CME lift off right there. That produced a spectacular event, which we'll show you here later in the video. Massive filaments there. That's the Mark Zuckerberg filament, the one underneath the Earth scale. Coronal holes on either side of the Earth scale there. And just to the east of that new sunspot, it's pretty small. It's at least beta class. That makes it a little bit more likely to produce a solar flare. And here's the southern limb. A CME came from that area as well. Another coronal mass ejection. And of course, that huge plasma filament right there. Good stuff. And before we get to things like coronal holes, let's talk some more stats. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux all the way down to 122 solar flux units. So the radial flux continues to decline here as the sun not producing very many sunspots. In fact, that actually shows 119 as the radial flux depicted by this black line. That is the past year, as reported by Solar.info. Next, a Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, and we've got a CME likely to hit late in the day on tomorrow, the 24th. NOAA's not forecasting it, so Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard disagrees there. We think there's a CME on the way to arrive sometime late in the day tomorrow, Tuesday, October 24th. So let's see what the forecast is. That's a coronal hole high-speed stream showing up there on the 27th. And as far as NOAA's forecast goes, no space weather in the forecast of any significant type. So no geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest according to NOAA or NASA. So NASA obviously didn't catch that CME either. We still say there's going to be an impact late in the day on the 24th. So considering our record lately, you may want to take that into consideration. Just saying. NASA hasn't forecasted it, and neither has NOAA. Anyway, here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. This is about to 12 Earth diameters or so, depicting magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And seeing as we have such geomagnetically calm conditions, not a lot of pressure out there in the geospace. Last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground are looking like this: magnetic flux density from the surface level. The ground magnetic perturbations map, also showing very geomagnetically calm conditions. And again, tomorrow night, we might see some fireworks showing up. Fingers crossed for aurora at mid-latitudes, the North Pole current sheet with which Earth has just entered has been a little bit more lively than the South Pole current sheets, showing these really weak solar winds. So there's the KP index, the global average of geomagnetism. KP 0.66 is the current planetary K index. And we might see a mild geomagnetic storm tomorrow night. I wouldn't expect it to get above a 5.33, depending on magnetic field strength, orientation, plasma density, and speed. Speaking of which, here's what the ACE has been sensing for the past 24 hours. Current conditions from the ACE, located at Lagrangian point 1. 2.3 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density, solar wind velocity about 350 kilometers per second. And here's the Discover, also at Lagrange point 1, showing a little faster solar wind, but also more diffuse. So solar wind there at Discover, about 1.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind velocity here, just under 400 kilometers per second. GOES magnetometers here rising a little bit, indicating not very much, really, as there's been no significant space weather for the past few days. You can see that mild geomagnetic storm there over on the left, occurring early in the day on October 21st. So GOES magnetometers here pretty smooth. Expecting some more sawtooth readings on those coming tomorrow night. Next, our top view ecliptic plane field plot. And like I said, Earth has just snapped into a North Pole oriented current sheet. So just in the past hour or so, look at the last image there. You can see Earth's magnetic field line now in the North Pole current sheet. So welcome to the North Pole current sheet, folks. There you go. Having just crossed the sector boundary. Next, our line of sight field plot, depicting the solar B field in blue, polar fields in red and green for south and north, and the photosphere magnetic fields in grayscale, which brings us to our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot, which is totally awesome. It shows you the polarity of the solar plasma, and it's waving all around over there on the east side. So we are expecting a conflagration here of sunspots coming soon, somewhere to the east of center heliographic longitudes. So somewhere over there on the left side, don't be surprised to see sudden excitation. We've got coronal holes, we've got filaments, we've got everything but sunspots. And it's only a matter of time before we see more of those. So that's what's going on with the heliospheric current sheet. Here's our line of sight coronal hole plot, and it's time to get to coronal holes. So what do we got? We've got a bunch of North Pole coronal holes here rotating in, an uptick in coronal holes. So a bunch of North Pole ones right in there. Let's take a look at those from SDO, and we've got some great close-ups of this. There is the SDO 211 angstroms wavelength. Very well-defined coronal holes. So expecting an uptick in the solar wind in about 3 days from this transequatorial one, and then we can expect a better uptick from this one over here, also right near the equator. There's a closer view of coronal holes and SDO 211 angstroms. Good stuff from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which brings us to the realm of sunspots. And man, oh man, weak sunspot activity indeed. Check it out. Sunspot number now down in the 30s. Sunspot number is like 32 or 33 according to Royal Observatory of Belgium. Likelihood of large solar flares is quite low indeed. These are not magnetically complex or large sunspots. The most likely place to see a large flare would be up here in the northeast, in my opinion. Next sunspots from SDO, there we go. There's 131 angstroms to highlight the active regions in SDO continuum. Let's drop the 131 angstroms. There is the continuum by itself. And all right, we do have one more group forming down here. We got a group evaporating over here and another one forming over here in the southwest. So this group up here that just rose is a sunspot, and there's likely to be another one rising down here. Those eastern sunspots are kind of small. In fact, all of those sunspots are kind of small and weak. Let's move to coronal mass ejections, solar flares, energetic particles, etc., shall we? We shall. No spikes in the proton flux. The GOES proton flux remaining flatlined for weeks. No solar energetic particle events. Largest flare happened just a couple of hours ago. At 2000 Universal Time, it was only a C2 class flare. We are seeing a small uptick there in the flaring over the past 12 hours. Here are some great wavelengths from SDO to view flares. 94 plus 131. Oh, it's just 131 angstroms. My mistake. That is another 24-hour video, as we are having a tendency to show in our daily space weather videos. Just bringing you the most in-depth analysis you'll find in the known universe of Solar Cycle 25, and let's take a look at what's going on overhead. And there is the sun just setting there on the horizon. Cygnus way up high in the sky. And if you're viewing the dusk sky, you might see the red planet Mars there. Also Saturn and the Moon, visible in the southeast above Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, where we are located. And next to your solar system forecast, here's where heavenly bodies are besides you today. Here's where they'll be in 1 week. Hopefully in 1 week you'll be viewing our daily space weather content. So that's where things will be on Halloween Eve, the 30th of October, many people's favorite holiday. And check it out, it's Jupiter's moon Io, the most volcanically active body in the whole solar system. And if you're wondering what all that yellow is, that is indeed sulfur. So it's quite an interesting and active body indeed. That's the astronomy photo of the day. Huge volcanic mountains there. Igneous rocks peppering the surface of Jupiter's moon Io. apod.nasa.gov if you want to check it out yourself. It would make a good desktop image, I suspect. And let's move on to coronal mass ejection since we've got some spectacular ones. Check it out. DAG. Pretty berserk. And let's show some more custom views. So multiple CMEs going off here, mainly out of the polar regions, also one out of the northeast, which we actually forecasted. And we've got the C2 a little bit ahead of the C3 there, so watch the left side first, and then when you see an event, you can see it at a further zoom on the right side. Some spectacular CMEs there. And you may be wondering if they're earthly directed. We'll get to it. That one from just this morning at 7 o'clock. Pretty sweet. And before we show our custom ones, we'll show stereo A as well. Here's stereo A's difference imagery on the right. And the raw coronagraph on the left. So some major CMEs there. As plasma is ejected from the sun's atmosphere. Let's bring those back. There you go. Pretty nice. And do you think they have earthly components, folks? We've shown you some of the footage. Here come the custom coronagraphs. And this should be a little more definitive. So the answer is no. Those are not earthly directed coronal mass ejections. You can barely see any plasma motions from these perspectives. The SDO in the middle there, Soho Lasco C2 and C3 in red and blue respectively. And if we move in closer here, we've added 304 angstroms to the 193 angstroms wavelength. And you'll see that indeed there are no major plasma motions on the Earth side of the solar disk. So those are not only near the poles, but slightly on the far side of the closest star there. So they're going north and south for the most part, not toward Earth. And here's the full zoom in, 304 plus 193 angstroms. Probably the best pair of wavelengths to show solar filaments. Speaking of filaments, let's take a look at some more of those. Here's the Big Bear California ground-based hydrogen alpha telescope. This one over here is called the Mark Zuckerberg filament. This one's called the Sonia Agora filament, and it looks like the ISS is actually captured right in there. You see some little movements there. I believe that's the International Space Station there. Right there. So yeah, looks like the International Space Station showing up there in the Big Bear, California National Solar Observatory monitor. By the way, if you want to name filaments after living people, do it over on Twitter. Yeah, follow us over there, Twitter, otherwise known as x.com, x.com/SmashOmash, the official Twitter account of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Thanks to our new follower. I'd say followers, but I think there's one. And here's Big Bear in grayscale, because that shows prominences. So quite a few prominences still here on the eastern limb. Also significant crown prominences here around the southern polar region especially. And before we do bonus features, let's show the latest couple of hours. So there's the GOES 16 SUVI. We are seeing a little bit of brightening in this region in here. Perhaps it's certainly some minor flaring happening there. Looks like that latest C-class flare did come from this region in the southwest. So let's do bonus features. Starting with satellite charging hazards. We don't have any. It is smooth sailing for satellites here at the moment. No high energy or low energy electrons affecting satellites at the moment. GOES electron flux here coming up off the floor. And you can expect to see this crater once again tomorrow night when that coronal mass ejection arrives. Again, late in the day on October 24th, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we may see some minor geomagnetic storm activity. There's the GOES electron flux over the past year. Those relativistic electrons are measured at the F layer of the ionosphere. Here's NOAA's forecast. NOAA is actually expecting a dip there in the coming 48 hours. That is measured at the F layer using radiography, so here is the F layer in its vibrational frequency. So that's what's shaking, and we are seeing a lot less high-frequency anomalies than we have seen. A little bit more scintillation showing up, since the past week or so has been really weak. It's been a weak week for space weather. Here's the anomalygram, and you'll see quite a bit of red on there. Low-frequency anomalies shown in red, high-frequency in blue. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. That is Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology, by the way, if you want to go view the ionosphere yourself. That's one slice of Earth's atmosphere. Again, it's about 300 kilometers of altitude. The F layer is what we're showing. And there's the latest image coming at you much later now at 2200 Universal Time ionogram, 2200 Universal Time anomalygram. We'll also show the WAM, the whole atmosphere model, showing total electron content and maximum usable frequency and the anomalies in those. Should be useful for GPS and radio operators. And let us know in the comments if you've corroborated space weather with your radio or GPS operation. We've certainly shown errors on our Instagram channel, for example. I did an average speed bike ride of 10,000 miles an hour one day. Yeah, and I didn't even melt in the atmosphere. It's amazing. Next, we'll show total electron content. First, the whole globe view, and by the way, it's free electrons in about this range from your GPS satellite down to handset level, about 12,500 miles of free electrons. So there's the still erroneous looking total electron content forecast map. Don't know what's going on with that, but the anomaly from the 10-day average, the anomaly from the 10-day average over North America is looking normally. So there you go. That's the anomaly from the 10-day average. Literally a count of free electrons through the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt, the outer plasmasphere, the inner Van Allen belt, the inner plasmasphere, and the ionosphere. Those electrons, they cause signal refraction. That is how they are counted. We'll close out space weather before we move to meteorology with the latest and greatest high-res imagery. So here's this new sunspot down in the southwest. It is Alpha class so far. Only one umbra there of South Pole orientation. This new sunspot up here is Beta class. I think Beta Gamma. Let's check. Whoops. Hey now. So let's see here. Those are both North Pole umbrae as far as I can tell, so that appears to be an Alpha class sunspot. As far as this new active region down here, I certainly didn't see any when we did show prep. Nope. So 2 new sunspot groups, still a downtick happening here in solar activity for the most part. Once again, another day of downward solar activity. Time to move to meteorology. And there's going to be some certainly stories of cold snow and ice and winter weather and so on showing up early, especially in Montana and Wyoming. So we're showing the temperature map to start things out as cold air blasts in from Canada, bringing heavy snows to the northern U.S. Rockies. That said, let's switch to our wind maps. And there are the surface winds of the eastern world. There's a typhoon here near Fiji. Check it out. Here are the jet streams of this side of the planet. Jet streams of the central world. Surface winds of the central world shown here. Surface winds of the west. And there are your jet streams. And check it out. That's the new snow for the next 3 days. So there's the next 12 hours. We'll zoom in one level here. So there's the next 12 hours, next 24 hours, and by the next 3 days, most of Montana will be covered. Also most of Idaho, large portions of Oregon and Washington. Some heavy snows are coming to Wyoming as well, expecting, according to the GFS model, over a foot. And pretty similar with the Euro model. So there's the Euro model, there's the GFS model for new snow. And check it out, we get to show the visible satellite for once, since these videos are now coming out in the early evening. Get to show the visible satellite. I'm stoked about it. It's one of the only significant changes coming to the content. And here's a close-up of that snowstorm making its way down from Canada into Montana. It's coming. It's going to only get colder for a few days. Great view there from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite, visible satellite. Next, our weather.gov map, and check out the freeze watches. Also, winter storm warnings there. So frost advisories, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, some gale warnings around the Gulf Coast and Florida Atlantic coast. If your location is lit, head to it. And here come the forecasts, starting with the GFS 72-hour model. There it is, 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast first. Some heavy weather there coming to Texas, Oklahoma, and then moving toward Missouri. So in about 2 days, some big storms there be showing up in the Lone Star State. We've also got total accumulated precipitation since we've got flood watches there, and check it out. They're going to get some heavy rains, like 5 inches in sections of Texas and Oklahoma. We'll also show the accumulated snow depth change in inches. And some parts of Montana there are showing up on the GFS forecast with more like 2 feet of snow in isolated areas. 72-hour GFS accumulated snow depth change in inches. And last but not least, since we've got so many temperature anomalies, let's show that. The temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius for the 72-hour GFS model as well. Warm temperatures in the center of the country. The coldest temperatures there in the northern Rockies. Next, lightning. And lightning has been mild in the U.S. Let's check a real-time lightning map briefly. Lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, I highly recommend it. We've got some lightning on Lake Michigan, it looks like. Indeed. So some thunderstorm activity there, likely creating some wave action in the Great Lakes. We'll close out this video with U.S. Doppler radar. And there's the visible satellite, folks. Yeah, the visible satellite. Good times. It shows snow. It shows smoke. It shows clouds and fog. Some might even say it shows chemtrails. Oh, yeah. Anyway, there's the water vapor map. Here's the recap. Vertical motion in the air column. Ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Space-based visible satellite. It's literally just a regular old black and white camera. Last but not least, infrared radiation in 6.19 micrometers, the water vapor map. It shows all the water vapor. And that is where we'll have to close this thing out. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. Let us know in the comments what you think of the new branding and the new time frame. We'll see you soon. In the meantime, I'll have been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back.